Hey everybody, welcome back to our series, The 10 Commandments of Better Pet Parents. These are 10 things that really designate a better pet parent from an average pet parent. I want to thank you for being here. If you've missed any of the other episodes, go back and catch up. But this week we're talking about number 3 on the list, which is such an important thing on the list, and that is that pet owners own property, pet parents nurture relationships. And what a difference that is. So it's not a secret that in terms of the law, pets are seen as property. But, I think times are getting better with how the public views pet guardianship. I think slowly but surely times are improving, certainly improving in the way that animal crimes are prosecuted. But pets are still seen at the end of the day as property, and it is our job as the better pet parents out there to never treat our animals like property. As somebody who's worked professionally with animals for many years, I've seen people treat animals very differently. They mean different things to different people, and it's the better pet parents out there who never treat their animals like property. It's so important to take note about whether or not we're saying when we talk about our animals that I'm my animal's owner, or I'm my animal's mom or dad or guardian, or whatever the applicable role in that pet's life is. Using the word owner reflects owning property, suggests the ownership of property, but the better pet parents out there just don't see themselves as an owner of anything. They see themselves in a role that's a privilege, and that's to be a pet parent. Our pets deserve for our relationships with them to be nurtured. So far in this series, we've talked about many different things. We've talked about their health care, we've talked about their safety, we've talked about respecting their unique personality, we've talked about their hygiene. We've talked about many things here as far as never neglecting them and always taking on a spirit of learning with their veterinarians. But this is such an important thing, to never treat them like property and to actively be nurturing the relationship with them. Their existence is unique. Their existence is important, and everybody deserves to have quality of life, including our pets, and they deserve never to be treated like they're things. In my time working with people and their pets, we talked a lot about this in some of the other videos. People take the role of pet parenthood more seriously than other people. I've seen some instances where, people might be in a situation where they need to make a medical decision for their animal. I'll give one particular example, and this is a heartbreaking example. It pains me to share it with you, but I can't think of any other example off of the top of my head right now that drives the point home more about property than this particular example. So back in my early days working at a veterinary clinic, I remember there being a lady who came in, and I don't remember what was wrong with her dog, but it needed a procedure. It needed a procedure that cost about $1,000, I think. And whatever this procedure was going to help the pet recover. It was not like a terminal disease. It was like, it needs this procedure, and then we're going to be able to overcome the issue. And I can remember I was just somebody who worked at the front desk at that time, so I wasn't a vet tech at that time. I was just working at the front desk, and we gave her the estimate for the procedure. And I can remember this lady saying, this month it's either this or the new pool cover, so I want to euthanize. And I remember that happening. I've never forgotten that. And I don't think that the public ever really has a very clear perception of what it's like to work at a veterinary clinic or with animals in a professional capacity. I think in general, the public sees that as a very happy-go-lucky thing. Play with puppies all day, play with animals all day. I know that I get a lot of that as a groomer. People say to me, "Oh, it must be so fun." Well, there's a lot involved. There's a lot involved with working with pets and their people. And anytime you're working with the public, you get to see the ugly side of the public for sure. But when you're working with pets and their people, it's a particular variety of seeing the ugly in people. It really is. Now, I know, and I'm not trying to suggest from this particular story that I don't understand not being able to afford certain medical procedures for your pets. That's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that there are so many people out there who see animals as things. They see them as disposable. They see them as completely replaceable. They see them as accessories in their lives, and they don't have that empathetic part of their brain, that realizes that this is a living, breathing being, feelings and likes and dislikes, and they have their own existence and their own personality, and they deserve to be treated with love and respect. I'll never be able to say that enough, and I know that I've said to you guys before in other videos that a big reason why I started Better Pet Parents was to celebrate the better pet parents out there, but I really can't stress enough that I did get very agitated working with pets and their people. I feel like that's not something I'm supposed to say publicly. I'm often under this pressure that I feel like I'm supposed to say that it's always been such a joy. And yes, I've had plenty of joyful experiences working as a professional with animals. And I've learned so much, about other people, about animals, about myself. There's been a lot about it that's been a privilege, but there was so much about it and continues to be because I still work as a groomer. It continues to be challenging to digest about it, I'm never going to get used to it. I'm never going to get used to seeing the worst in people when it comes to pet parenthood. It's a very detailed, layered thing, and the more people you get to know, the more people you work for, the more of it you see. But I will say this much. As much of a challenge as it's been for me in my career to work sometimes for pet owners, it's also been such a privilege to work for pet parents because, I've had a lot to complain about as a professional groomer. There's a lot about it that I've had a very hard time with. That goes for how I see people treat their animals and how I think people treat animal professionals. That it as a job, it's had its challenges for sure. And after more than 10 years, it's definitely had its challenges. But one thing that I would say to my husband on a repeat basis when I would come home and tell him about my days over the years is I would say it would be a good job if I could just work for the better pet parents. If I could just work for the better ones, wouldn't that be so much easier? And that's something that resonated with me over time and eventually led to this, me wanting to talk publicly about this, me wanting to start Better Pet Parents. I've mentioned to you guys before, and I'll say it again, saying thank you for being one of the better pet parents out there is not a slogan for me. It's personal for me, not only because I always strive to be a better pet parent to my own dog, and that was of paramount importance to me personally in my own chapter of pet parenthood, but it is so important to me as a professional with what I've seen, what I've witnessed, what I've heard, stories I've heard other professionals in the field tell. I mean, every time you think you could be, that you wouldn't be able to be more surprised, somebody tells some god-awful story that is able to surprise you. It really is, there's a lot of dark to this world, but there's also a lot of light to this world, and it's the better pet parents out there who are setting a positive example. And I can't say enough, continue to be the kind of pet parent you want to see in this world.
because it does matter. It absolutely matters. And the more that the better pet parents can be out there saying what's acceptable and what's not, the more we might be able to change. So I understand that maybe I got a little ranty this time, because it is personal and it is unbelievable. Um, but I do just want to say thank you. Thank you for being one of the better pet parents out there. And I know that it's the better pet parents out there that wake up in the morning and look forward to a joyful day with the privilege of being in their animal's company. They don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, there's that thing. There's that piece of property. There's that obligation that I have to take care of. That's not what they think. The better pet parents out there treasure their pets for the unique individuals that they are. They nurture the relationships that they have with them. They appreciate them for all the joy and love and lessons that they bring. And like I've mentioned before, all the quality of life that they bring to us. So I know that those of you out there who are better pet parents know this, but do everything you can to spread the positivity. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week as we talk about number 2 on the list of the 10 Commandments. See you then.